All right, welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Spring Split 2022. In Week 3, this first day, we have a shorter day of games, and we are looking to close it out here with a matchup against the top dogs until further notice of the PCS. CTBC Flying Oyster up against Hurricane Gaming. Before we get underway, I do want to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors. They are, of course, CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, on paper, this is a very lopsided matchup. Top of the league versus right down there in the bottom two. But Hurricane, hey, they got one win. They beat Sem 9.
Hey, let's go.
It's going to be difficult, but they got one on the board, and that's momentum, baby.
I'll try to make it a little bit more equal for you. So between these two teams, they share 6 wins and 6 losses. However, all of those wins are on one team, and the losses are kind of on the other. Actually, as you mentioned, Hurricane Gaming are 1-5. I'm sorry.
By the way, you could literally have said anything because it's a known fact that play-by-play caster brains do not actually have the ability to do math when the cameras are on.
I'm sorry.
It's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. You could have made up anything you wanted, man.
But this game is going to be very fast and very bloody. I think that's what I want to see here because Hurricane Gaming have one of the highest champion kills per minute. They are dying a lot more than they are killing. But on the flip side, CTBC Flying Oysters, they also have the highest champion kills per minute here. So we could see just the sparks flying from minute 1. I expect this to be a litmus test to how dominating CFO can be in their individual lanes.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one because this is a team that just has so much experience, so much firepower across the board. You'd be hard-pressed to find a weak point, and we tried. We thought Atlan was going to be the one, but he's been popping off. And he's been involved in so much.
Turns out he has a lot more fight in him. I can't really hear Pyra right now, so I'm going to have to continue on as if this was a solo cast. Mission not showing up on the webcams. I think we did spot him just a little bit earlier. Probably just a little bit of technical difficulty here. And in the backline, we do have Achi. Long-time mid laner, long-time jungler. We have seen this guy around PCS for a very, very long time. Now coaching the team. I think this team plays relatively standard. They just draft for strong mid jungle, try to overpower you with the laning phase, a lot of Gwen priority into the top lane, and just kind of steamroll you. Hurricane Gaming on the other side have a lot more difficulties in the early game coming in, but they do have some bright spots. ICU, Bang 2, really good teamfight performances. ICU for me is definitely the most fun player to watch. We have seen in the game where his team was down by quite a lot. It seemed like he had no way back, but he still went in on a solo mission just to kill Eminem, and it did work out quite nicely. So we get a shot of their team. Yes, you are. You're back. Oh, okay. I'm hearing that Pyra is not yet fully back here, but going through their roster once again. Alio and Chacha connecting overseas from mainland, so they're not here. And
take two, here I am.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, but we are talking about remote connections, and I do think every once in a while things go a little bit sideways. But for the side of Hurricane Gaming, Clement, they have been honestly showing us strength in the bottom and top half because ICU and Bang 2 have been kind of my standout players. But we're going to have to compare junglers because it is Gemini on the side of CFO, and I think Olio is going to have his work cut out for him this time. He is lane swapped. He is role swapped. He's even name swapped. He was Zhao Tu last split, and he's had a little bit of a tough time adjusting, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to play the jungle from Aliel. He tries to be the carry in most of the games and tries to go for scaling compositions. Well, I actually want to see him trend more towards Lee Sin's and try to get his lanes going a bit earlier. That's been the sort of gap that we've seen. He's had an Echo game, a Hecarim game, and in my view, if he just plays more for the early game, his laners can reward him with stronger performances. Meanwhile, Gemini, honestly, I feel like he gets to play however he wants to because Mission and Rest are honestly just the best solo laners in their respective roles. So he can go early, he can go late. It's really up to him. There's more room for Gemini to maneuver. While Alio, for me, I definitely would favor him just on something like Lee Sin or a Volibear.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Give an opportunity to, at the very least, like, set up engages. You can be tanky, you can stay alive. We have seen some Lee Sin from. I do like the adaptation in the bans. Mission has looked just too good on this Syndra, and like it does leave some things open. There is going to be the Gwen coming in for rest here. I do worry about that, but there's just so many weapons on this team. You kind of have to pick something, and I think that's not a terrible choice to ban.
It definitely is. And the other big champion for Mission that we have been enjoying immensely is his Orianna. I feel like that one kind of goes under the radar as well. Good matchups into Rise, good matchups into Vira, as we saw against Deep Cross Gaming. And this is definitely an interesting one. We have seen the Gnar be able to stand up against the Gwen, and in fact this was Rest's favorite counter pick in this matchup. However, the team fight impact is very different between the two champions. We have seen Gwen just kind of shred teams, while it's much trickier on the Gnar. So that's going to be the main difference in this matchup itself. Still going to go for the more team fight focused in the Hecarim. Of course, he still has some power in the early game, but really not as much as something like the Lee Sin. I would like to mention here. So Hurricane Gaming, it looks like they're setting up for a strong team fight composition, while CFO still keeping their options relatively open and just snagging all the power picks they can.
Yeah, and power picks indeed. As they get the Jinx locked in, they will go ahead and take the Lee Sin for Gemini. The Gnar pick, to me, definitely, I feel like it tips a little bit of the hand, because Hurricane didn't have to pick this early on. There's no reason to expect the Gnar is going to get banned away. And they lock in a Tristana for Bangtu, and Bangtu has been one of those players that has gone for some of the less orthodox picks. We've seen the Twitch pick, didn't work out. Now into the Tristana, which is not the first time it's been in this league, but this is a little bit different than what the rest of the league normally comes to play with.
We have seen Bangtu and Enhao try to play burst compositions into Zeri, but I hope that they don't do that. To be honest, it's very hard to execute. Like, you have to get the crowd control perfectly correct and then kind of snowball. I just feel like Tristana, if you don't have the potential for running her in multiple lanes, she's not really worthwhile to run compared to just the Aphelios and the Jinxes. I feel like she's definitely a tier below those champions in terms of just raw impact. And we can see here from CFO, they're definitely keeping that Tristana in mind. It could go into the mid lane, where it does have very strong kill potential on most mages.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. So with the Ziggs ban away, not going to give Bangtu a chance to open up even more explosive opportunity. And the bot lane focus for Hurricane is evident there as they look to try and ban away both the Thresh and the Tahm Kench. Also the Karma ban on the CFO side. So yeah, they're taking away a couple more opportunities for Enhao, as he has already played that champion before. Back into the second phase, I'm curious to see how this shakes out for Hurricane, if that is going to be mid Tristana. I think you are on to something there, Clement, because the hover of the Ezreal is there. But this is going to be, unfortunately, for Hurricane, blind into whatever CFO take. Unless I'm completely wrong and they lock the Leona. I don't know. We're still going to get an answer at the final hurdle, but they want to keep CFO guessing, and that's for the best.
Yeah, so Hurricane Gaming have a very situational comp. That's how I would kind of call it. So they want to go in, as evidenced by the Hecarim and the Leona, but they have to pick their moments quite correctly, which means they do have to win their top lane. I do expect a lot of games going into top lane. That has been a new trend for Olial. He, has split away from his Shanghai neighbor and go towards ICU's lane a little bit more in the recent games. And for CFO's side, this is just completely stock standard drafting. Just you have the range coming in from Jinx rockets. You try to play around the Jinx and make approaching her as difficult as possible with the Gwen, with the disengage from the Lee Sin, and of course another tanky member in the Rise. So CFO has, I would say, one of the most common meta compositions that you've seen. Strong hyper carry from Jinx paired with some 1-3-1 potential from the Gwen and Rise. Really a lot of different ways that you can play this composition. On the meantime, for Hurricane Gaming, I feel like this game is so much harder. It seems like they're going for a burst wombo combo that is kind of dependent on the Gnar at the same time. So we'll see how this works out, if they have the coordination to pull something like this off.
Yeah, I mean, so far we haven't really seen that from this Hurricane Gaming side, but maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they've been practicing it hard. I don't know. Anything is possible. Hurricane Gaming could surprise us, could come out of the gate swinging. But for CFO, they've given themselves all the tools to success. They have set themselves up to be able to do whatever the heck they want. I'm excited to see Mission on this rise because so far he hasn't had to move away from the Syndra or the Orianna. So now he's going to try his hand at another champion in the mid lane that we've seen so much of, and a much more tanky opportunity, letting the other parts of his team shine, as he's kind of had a lot of the spotlight, being one of the most experienced players in the league, as well as such a devastating carry in the mid lane.
I'm very interested to see how his sort of global play develops, because that's kind of been the weaker point of Mission's game. He's never been known as a big Twisted Fate or Galio player. So now playing the Rise in a lot of different matchups, you are expected to use that Realm Warp and make roams early on. How is Mission going to execute and coordinate with Gemini? That's going to be very interesting to see. I have no worries for him in the laning phase, absolutely at all. You know, Cha-Cha, even with the technically counter pick, we have seen this matchup be relatively close, so I wouldn't even be surprised if Mission is somehow able to get ahead in this one. And the other point of interest I would want to see is this bot lane. I feel like we have a composition with tremendous burst potential. However, I do have to mention a specific interaction, is that the Flame Chompers, once they're set, they can't actually just snipe Tristana out of midair. You are not guaranteed to jump over those Flame Chompers. So if the burst has to come in, it has to be very well choreographed.
One of the weirder things about Tristana, especially, is as a champion, even though that rocket jump, it's called a jump, and you see it's a jump, it's coded as like a dash or a drag. So yeah, you hit all those things. That's why you can get the thresh hooks out of midair to just yoink. It does mean that she is a little bit less safe than she appears to be, and that can always be a bit of a risky play here. So starting off, aggressive moves into the jungle to get the wards down by CFO. No surprises there. They know they're a strong team and can throw their weight around. I do feel like a lot is going to be told by what Olio does in this early game. He has been taking more trips up to top lane to help ICU out. This Gnar pick was so highly prioritized. I can't help but think that they've got something there. ICU, obviously a very strong like solo lane carry player, but we've seen him more on the styles of, you know, the Gwen or the Jax or the Jace, and this is going to be a new pick for him on this Gnar. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. Finds the 1v1, hops out of it immediately, and start down on the bottom side for the Hecarim.
Taking the hop level 1's got to be pretty painful for ICU, but he doesn't take too much HP off of that, to be sure. Just a great level 1 setup from CFO. They use a slip and slash by Rest to go over the wall, put wards down, not put wards, but basically check out the red. They know where this Hecarim is starting, so they should have a very good timer on when they can go aggressive in this top lane matchup. I would say one of the strengths of the Gnar versus whatever melee carry matchup is that, hey, if they want to go aggressive on you, they do have to expend their gap closers, and that does make them relatively vulnerable. So we should see Rest take very measured approaches to when he's going to be able to trade. And as we are seeing, Gemini kind of expectedly is going to match Hecarim Alial the entire way, as Alial's almost dead. What? Huh?
Yeah,
he didn't take any camps.
I don't know what's going on. I've been focusing on the farm game down bot because Atlan and Koala have just shut Bang 2 out. They've frozen the lane at level 1, and now they have a 2 advantage. This is the worst start.
It definitely is, and that's the thing about Tristana. She is very susceptible to bad early starts of laning phases, and when those things do happen, she also can't hold her wave very well. So, Tristana is a pick. I like the setup that Bang 2 is running, going for the Hail of Blades, maximum burst damage. I feel like she's a pick where you have to win and you have to keep constant shove with jungle pressure. That's the best way to kind of play this champion. If you don't get that setup, she actually creates a bit of a negative snowball on top of herself. She can be frozen out really easily because whenever she tries to CS, she will push the wave forward.
It's definitely a risky pick in that sense, and Atlan and Koala are punishing it to the T right now, denying the farm. They know that Olio isn't going to be able to gank just yet, and he's even further behind. What the heck happened at Blue Pit is what I want to know.
Yeah, my guess is as we have a level 3 in here.
We do have a level 3. Flame Chomper's down. Bang 2 can walk away from him, but Enhao taking a lot of damage. And really, Atlan and Koala are no worse for wear here, as the CS lead just continues to grow for the Jinx.
So what I guess actually happened in this game is that Alio actually failed the SOFM start between Blue and the Gwomp. Like, we have seen a lot of Hecarim's try to do that, usually with help, though. Now Koala's going in.
Oh, they're going to bait this if they can. Gemini, he's going to land the Sonic Wave, but it's Enhao that absorbs it, so that should be the end of the aggression for now. All the same, yeah, Bang 2 and Enhao have to walk away from this.
Yeah, we are just going to see CFO go for a cheeky reset here, give Atlan a little bit more of an item advantage before they come back into the lane. In the meantime, I think very luckily for Alio, his jungle pathing wasn't spotted, so he's down 3 camps, but at least the enemy isn't aware of it. When he transitioned to the top side of the map, I believe the wards have already were already dissipated. So I don't think.
Let's see this.
He must have gone for the SOFM. I think that's the only reason you could fail there.
Oh, Leo.
He bit off way too much
Oh
more than he could chew.
Oh, the reset. No, pan away. I can't watch.
Oh, this is so painful.
I can't watch.
3 camps
it's
already
too painful.
First day jungler. First day jungler.
This is, okay, all right. You know what? I take issue. That was gratuitous. Meanwhile, Rest in ICU. That's a bit of a rough trade here for the Gnar. He doesn't quite have the full bar, and
Ignite goes down.
Dodges the hook. Ignite. He still gets first blooded. Hashtag unlucky.
Yeah, that has to feel so bad. He was actually pretty close to winning the trade against Rest, and you have to remember, Rest doesn't have the Ghost here, so it's harder for him to joust correctly against the Gnar. Unfortunately, Koala actually makes the trip as a level 4 Nautilus all the way to top lane. I just don't think ICU saw that one coming. That was kind of unfortunate. He was actually winning from that position, especially with his choice of fleet footwork.
Absolutely. Unfortunate for the Hurricane top laner. Also unfortunate for Olio that Koala was there to spot out this Hextech Dragon Tank. Now Mission going to look to try and help flank while Koala looks to close the trap as the rest of the Hurricane Gaming side is taken low. They will get the smite. No, it's stolen by Gemini. And now he's going to take their lives. I don't believe it. Hurricane Gaming are just fizzling out here as the Jinx gets a double, looking for 3. Nowhere for Enhao to go as he dashes back to the tower, flashes away to safety, but CFO get everything.
This has to be the most excruciating game that we have seen so far. It's like Hurricane Gaming, they're trying everything, but I feel like they're just not trying things at a reasonable tempo. You can see how much damage Mission just gets to plop down here. The overloads and the spell flux is spreading the damage across the board, and Gemini just walks in and smites away the objective, wins that fight. Look at Bang 2 right here. This man is so unlucky. He gets tagged by the Flame Chomper, then the Rune Prison goes off. It was just everything going right for CFO, and unfortunately for Hurricane Gaming, I just feel like they gone on into desperation mode just far too early. It's only 6 minutes. You know, you can play kind of a slow game and hope to come back.
I think this might be a standard case of nameplate envy at the moment. They're having a hard time competing with an undefeated team, and they just got a little bit too antsy to make a play. I think Olio is certainly feeling the pressure considering he got set so far behind, but unfortunately it's just making things go from bad to worse. A 2,500 gold lead, Gemini looking to set up a bait down bot, and Anchor goes out, not going to find Enhao as they just look to play it as safe as possible. But I don't know how safe they can really be here. You can see Mission coming in. I think a dive is in the works, Clement.
This is what we've been seeing from all our rises, just the 4v2 dive. And look at Olio, he's not even going down the bottom lane. They see him on the mini-map. Olio, where are you going? You have to come here.
He's still level 5, man. He needs camps.
That's true. Maybe he gets level 6 off the Merc Wolves. Very risky moment for the team right there, but Chacha at least clears his waves and starts moving towards the bottom side. So I guess disaster averted. CFL do call this one off and just head forward towards their blue buff instead. ICU might be getting a visit from the Rise Doctor here as he doesn't have a flash, and Mission is about to get that Realm Orb up.
Yeah, not too much longer before that happens. We talked about how this lane certainly seemed close despite the counterpick opportunity, and you talked about how Mission could very well get a lead, and he has been able to do that despite making a couple of trips, kept up on the CS, certainly multitasking quite a bit more than what Chacha's been able to bring. And now Gemini up to the top side. Long roam around. Should be able to steal away this blue or this red buff as well. And
this is the play.
It looked like there was a push opportunity down bot here, but Oleo's just sitting in a brush because Atlan and Quella weren't at home.
Yeah, I don't... Oh, they should have let that land. They 100%
really
should have let that land.
All right, here comes Gemini. Narbar almost complete. There's the hop, the kickback, and the snip. Oh, he doesn't even get to go Mega. It's just not fair.
It definitely isn't. They saw Hecarim leaving the brush right there, instantly go to the top lane. There's no chance for a counter gank. No summoners blown right there. They have full control of both solo lanes. And this is just the standard CFO play. You win your lane super hard, you win your skirmishes off of those winning lanes, and you just snowball the game. For Hurricane Gaming, I felt like they had a good strategy of trying to get this bot lane in action, but just too many things went wrong. We could see Olio trying to do the lane gank with the Hecarim on level 6. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to get this Hail of Blade burst down from Bang 2, get in snowballing, but so far it hasn't had success. Let's see if they can chase down Rest.
Olio takes one look at the level difference. I think he decides to back away from that. And Rest has been having a pretty nice laning experience up in the top side. One thing we didn't talk about, but he's also gone for the same sustainable rune and summoner spell choices that we saw in the previous game with that Grasp of the Undying. Seems to be the new hotness, at least so far, to try and survive out some of these trades. And he hasn't really had too much trouble against the likes of ICU, although not for lack of trying. Close calls across the board. Olio... Oh boy, at this rate, oh man, Chacha wanted the blue buff handoff, and it gets totally intercepted. CFO, this is, like, I want to report them for cyberbullying, Clement. This is not okay.
Yeah, that pony deserves a green pasture, somewhere to farm, somewhere to walk. Like, he's just getting huddled in underneath his own towers at this point, and... I have to question Aliel's build at this point. He's so far behind, but he's still going to go for a damage-oriented build on the Divine Sunderer. This is, I don't see how this works out. Like, he's just not going to survive in close proximity against CFO members. So the Divine Sunderer, to me, feels very optimistic.
They still feeling the comeback at some point, but man, they're going to have a mountain to climb to do it, and 11:15, there's the Gore Drinker built by Gemini in this game. Rest is going to have a big wave of minions to crash into him, and you know, you just have a hard time seeing where there's an advantage or where there could be an advantage for Hurricane on the map. CFO have been able to read just about every one of these plays, and in the few places they haven't, they've kind of gotten lucky on the timing, and there's going to be a Dragon up and available. They've already got the first Hex Tech. This mountain should be pretty free as Gemini is able to pop over the wall. They spot it, but here's the thing, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like for Hurricane Gaming, their only source of kill potential in lane is still going to be the bottom side. So the critical thing here is to watch if CFO are going to be able to drop wards into either the jungle or the lane. I think if they have deep wards in the lane, then you know Hecarim really isn't going to do much. And it looks like Bane2 is just giving up the laning phase completely. He can't even go towards his bottom side at this point. So
opting out for the mid instead, yeah.
Yeah, they could try to go for a Herald as well, but that Herald still has a very long timer on it, and I guess the only play is try to catch Koala.
Yeah, I mean, they did it, and he flashed, but they're still going to get him here. Let's see if they have enough damage to finish the job. As everything gets expended, can he walk away?
There's no way.
That would be ultimate insult to injury. The answer's no, but they trade for tower, Clement.
Yeah, that was a desperation play for sure. However, they're not going to be able to continue that play with the Gwen. Actually, they could. Oh, it's interesting. Oh, they can't push in the wave. That's going to be the problem for them. As Russ is even bold enough to go aggressive on ICU despite not knowing where Aliel is on the map. Kind of an interesting move and a very Rest-esque play here.
Yeah. Sometimes Rest just goes for the risks and it works out more often than not. You do see Olio there. The back is going to come in here, and Hurricane, it seems like they are just running themselves in circles, looking for an opportunity where oftentimes not a whole lot exists. Yeah, they got a kill. Sure, you know, you're not getting shut out of the game anymore. It's not going to be a perfect game for CFO, but that's a small consolation because of how wide this gold gap has been and just continues to be. The push is still through. I mean, all the turret plates got taken down bottom as well as the tower. There may even be enough timing here for Mission to get another one. I don't think he's going to commit to it because he sees Olio and Enhao on the horizon. Yeah, he has enough time to grab it the last second. There we go. Even more.
If I know Mission, he's definitely staying for it. Mission is the type of guy that will stay for a cannon minion even if he sees a gank coming. So he's really good at laning. I'll just put him that. He never lets that CS go to waste.
Well-earned confidence, though. And meanwhile, Rest is not going to let that one go either as he takes that last plate. No, he doesn't actually get it in time, but it doesn't matter because they can take down ICU with the needlework and some snips.
Yeah, that has to be so frustrating for ICU. He dodged out on the auto attack, but couldn't dodge away from the ultimate there. As Koala plays that with extreme patience, just walking up and waiting for him to flash and then use his ultimate. That's the problem with this Gnar pick. I feel like as a Gnar pick, if your laning phase goes poorly, you don't even have impact in the team fights. Like, you just
prioritize this so heavily, too. That's why it's such a confusing choice. ICU has been so good when he's been given these power picks, but the Gnar, yeah, you're right about it being situational. And, you know, I feel like we're broken records here because I remember the same thing being said last season.
Yeah, I feel like the reason they went with the Gnar is because it is relatively a low maintenance pick. You can just play away from the Gnar and just try to snowball the bottom lane, which I think was the strategy the entire way from Hurricane Gaming. Unfortunately, I feel like CFO really read that strategy and counteracted so well to it. So a couple of things going over what CFO did correctly, I think, to break apart Hurricane's strategy is first they did the level 1 invade, very deep invade, made sure the Hurricane didn't have an easy jungle path from top to bottom into gank. That would be very deadly, especially for Atlan's position. As you can see, he's even running a cleanse here. Unfortunately, that didn't, like, that disruption meant Hurricane Gaming had to go for these SOFM start. That failed, and I feel like that was desperation from that point on.
Yeah, I think we've harped a lot on how Hurricane have just not been able to execute it, but like you raise an interesting point. Like, it looks worse even than it is because of how well CFO are playing, because of how well they're reading the map. There's a reason this team's undefeated, right? They're just so good.
What is up with our junglers today? Gemini missing the Q on the Herald. That happens to the best of us.
Everybody gets one. It's okay. It's forgivable.
Shelly's hitbox is actually a bit smaller than I would imagine. The Carapace apparently doesn't count. You have to hit the body. So just for you junglers out there, should be an easy drop into the mid lane. And I do feel like this is one of Hurricane Gaming's best chances to kind of come back. They do have a wombo combo composition where you have Shockwave plus Onslaught of Shadows. And if Bang2 can just drop his ultimate as well, that's a lot of instant damage.
It absolutely is. Now Rest looking for even more on ICU, and he's going to need a hospital soon. Oh boy. Tower and the kill. Shelly gets the charge. Atlan, look at how confident this man's playing on the front lines. Get excited, Jinx. Got Koala at his back and forces the defensive onslaught of shadows. Oh boy.
Is that really necessary? I felt
Olio thought it was.
Yeah, that felt a little bit panicky to me. He's still, like, when you're unstoppable, you can really hold on to those abilities a lot longer than you're supposed to. It does look like Aliel is just, trying to play as safe as possible, but that just means that there is no counter-engage potential from Hurricane Gaming. They don't have their main combo piece to execute this, and I don't think Gnar can even get Rage at this point. Like, we're not even going to see Mega Gnars into these team fights. He has difficulty walking up to these waves at this point.
Yeah, it would have to have perfect timing, and wouldn't you know it, too, with all the kills going on, and on the CFO side especially, it's been a lot more focused on these individual outplays, as ICU could be in trouble again. Mission around the side here is Gemini. Oh, it's just not fair. This Gnar is just absolutely getting bullied, and Atlan wanted to snipe that, but they denied him. Mission takes his due.
I feel like it's a tradition on CFO right now to deny Atlan his skill shots. Like, we have seen Atlan try to land Moonlight Vigils, and the front line from CFO is just like, no, we're just taking these kills. Wow. And that's why I was like, why Divine Sunder? Like, you're so far behind at this point. It's just, it just feels like you're not going to survive. That was less than 3 seconds of trading, and that was a good wave clear.
Yeah, unfortunately, unfortunately for Chacha, Atlan actually didn't even need to use any summoners to escape from the shockwave. It's just, they're playing to the edge really well, but at the same time, they're also so far ahead, they can afford to be a little bit more cavalier about things. I don't even know if, at this rate, Infernal Soul is going to be the be-all, end-all, but if CFO get it, I mean, that's going to be lights out for any potential 5v5 if it isn't already.
Yeah, I feel like we're quickly running out of, win conditions for Hurricane Gaming, and we're just kind of wondering, when will this last? I think in summer maybe, because there has been word that it's possible that we're opening up like border controls, that maybe we're gonna finally see Hurricane Gaming get together, and Atlan could be the target.
Oh, and he claims he runs away, flashes everything. He's still gonna get out. I don't believe it. Mega Death Rocket coming in, and Bang 2 is deleted for the reset. Koala tanks it up. This is how far apart the gold game is, as Atlan spends everything to escape and turns up with, well, I was gonna say 2 kills, but he's actually looking for another one as he takes the last second Realm Warp, and Olio has got nowhere to go. Atlan will finally claim his second. Oh boy, again.
That was absolutely ludicrous. How did he manage to survive that? Leona even flashed for that kill, but they still weren't able to lock him down. I'm just at a complete loss for words right here. Just CFO, they're just getting away with murder on every single play.
So far ahead, that'll do it. And yeah, it looks like we are going to get a 20-minute game here, as ICU can do nothing but slap the emotes up in the air. Well, maybe not. CFO are going to play this a little more clinically. They will back off.
I feel like ICU is slowly descending into madness. Like every game at the end here, we see him emote spamming. I feel like he's trying to communicate with the audience about something. It's really just kind of funny. Let's watch this again, how Atlan survives. So they actually land the first ultimate completely okay. Enhao doesn't flash in to chase up though. I was definitely felt like the team was just on 2 different pages. We saw Tristana flashing in to try and finish off the kill, but Leona not going forward to put in the extra crowd control here. So Jinx just ends up walking away, and the AD carry just dies.
Yeah,
foregone conclusion.
We don't know how this one began, but I think we know how it's going to end, Clement. Rest chasing down Olio now. He's got 4 legs. He does get away, but immediately the panic teleport back into the base ICU. He's like, well, we're going to lose if I don't do this. And, he might be right if they were a little bit faster on the draw. CFO are just kind of taking a leisurely stroll through this jungle. It's Baron time.
I'm just imagining, like, what happens afterwards in the Hurricane Gaming, like, discussion. Like, Olio probably just tells him, I got that 1 kill. I'm good. Or something like that. It's just... I don't know how you kind of review a game like this one, because it was just... So much of it stemmed off of just critical mistakes from so early on in the game. So, like, I honestly feel like this game was over at 5 minutes. Just like the first Drake.
Against a lot of teams, that's not always the case, right? There is always comeback mechanics. It feels a little bad sometimes. But it's just, you can't do this against CFO. You can't do this against the top half of the league, really. I mean, that is the difference. We do have such a big skill gap, I feel, against the top and the bottom. And Hurricane, they just have so many answers to try and find, and I don't think they're really going to get much out of the footage here. You're right. It just... Yep, all right, yep, shouldn't have done that at level 1. All right, no SOFM starts, and now CFO are looking to close the trap. Onto the roots, Enhao. Tower taken. You can see the damage that Atlan's dishing. It's massive. Rocket comes through, and he will claim the kill again. Meanwhile, Rest is going to lead the rest of the super minions in the mid, and this has got to be lights out as they get another hook onto ICU. Meganar does come up, but it just doesn't matter as Bang 2 limps back to the fountain. He can't get away. Atlan's running wild. 17 kills to 1. 23, 22 and a half minutes, and a full-on fountain dive. It's some fun League of Legends as the Jinx pads some stats.
They don't even die?
And it's GG.
Oh, boy. I feel like the best way to sum up that game is at 22 minutes before the Nexus, we got a shot of the Mega Gnar. We know that Gnar can actually transform. Because the rest of the time, Gemini's timing was just so on point that ICU couldn't do anything. Like, he got no support from the jungle, and Gemini was just whenever he wanted to farm. Rest there to pick up the kills. Bot lane, I felt like Hurricane Gaming, to their credit, they did come in with a working strategy. And we have seen this strategy before in other regions. Like, I've definitely seen it in the LPL, where you just force feed kills onto this Tristana and go from there. She's great at stripping towers. If you get those first 2 kills, she can also reset. She can kind of fill in for your solo lanes if the lanes aren't going so hot themselves. But unfortunately, they just didn't get the snowball to go. and you got to practice your jungle clear sometime. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you really do. And, I don't want to harp on Olio too much. He is role swapped, obviously, but you got to get that down in the first day in jungle class. You have to be able to secure that and don't want to get too fancy with it. I haven't really been impressed with his transition on the role so far. I think for this Hurricane Gaming squad, it is just these couple of massive mistakes, but they're so big. And again, this was always going to be a massive uphill climb. CFO were just that much stronger. They improved to 7-0, and I don't know if there's anyone in the league that can stop them. I do want to see that Deep Cross rematch, and I think that was the closest we've seen by far. There's a couple of squads they haven't played yet, though, Clement. I'm wondering if anybody else can give them a challenge.
It doesn't look like it to me. No, they beat J-Team, they beat Deep Cross. The PSG one, did they play PSG yet?
I don't think they have, actually.
Yeah,
I'm going to double check really quick. And PSG, we actually didn't think they were necessarily going to be quite as strong as they're looking on paper right now, but they really got their new jungle mid in gear with the rest of the squad. That's an opportunity, but the way CTBC Flying OYSTER are playing, it's brutal. It's oppressive. They never give an opportunity, and you called it, getting away with murder. I feel like they do that to a lot of opponents.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is just their synergy between their jungle and the rest of the squad. For a team that was actually built relatively recently, they didn't have all of their players together until Machi finally decided to quit the PCS altogether. They showcase extreme levels of coordination. That's the thing that I've been most impressed by. Like, CFO was not a sure thing until very close to the deadline. So for them to just be able to pop up and just shore each other up and have those perfect gank timings is really what sets them above, I think, any other team right now. We still don't see the same level of coordination between Juhan and the rest of his own lanes from PSG. I'm not saying it can't happen, but at current level, it's definitely not what we see from Rest and Gemini displayed in this game.
No, and this was a masterclass. You said that the big thing for CFO here was not whether they would win, but really how dominating they could be. And they showed up massive. And Rest was certainly a big part of that. He had a great lane. I think he kind of got fed a few of the kills he was able to secure, but he earned all the rest of them. And pun intended on that. Certainly well earned on this Gwen. I love to see it. I was wondering when we were going to get that brought up because he has been on the likes of a number of other champions, but known for this type of thing. The CTBC top lane claims that MVP, and even with a lot of carries up there, you don't see it all the time. We've been seeing a lot of other lanes, a lot of other roles earning that.
Yeah, it has been relatively few and far between where we see like top lane becoming the main carry. On our successful teams like DCG or Hanabi, they really had very different roles. I feel like the premier split pushers and top lane MVPs have been just going to Liang and Rest kind of nonstop on repeat over and over again, if you think about which top laners are actually gaining their MVP. So, congratulations to Rest. I think he once again showcased his strength. And taking a look at today's schedule so far, again, we have triple blue side wins with no upsets, so pretty standard day, but we did have a lot of fun in the second game, I would say.
Yeah, we did. Taking a look at our standings, obviously this is of course going to be subject to change because we just have so many more games to play ahead on the rest of the week and going into next. But CTBC sit atop the pack alone. Deep Cross, however, are hot on their heels. I am curious to see if PSG Talon are on a similar level to both of these squads, or at least to Deep Cross, if they can start to recapture that. Remember, they are the returning champions, have a lot of titles to their name, even though they no longer have their star jungle and mid laner. We'll see if they can reignite that flame. Just behind them, of course, J-Team and Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, still looking to prove themselves beyond just the top 5. And in the hunt is pretty much everybody else here. I think Hurricane's got some answers to find, Sem9 certainly more. But Frank Esports and Impunity definitely showed their mettle today, and I think Meta Falcon team is no slouch either.
Yeah, I see Impunity really moving up to the 6 or 7 spot. In terms of their flexibility, they just have a lot more range at this point. From the bottom half, I just hope that we can see a little bit more fire from Hurricane. If you're going to go out in a blaze of glory. Early mistakes or whatever, just forget about them. Just try to practice your wombo combo at the very least.
Yeah, they need to work on some things, but we'll see if they can. They'll have some chances tomorrow, although they do face off against a top seeded, or at least number 2, Deep Cross Gaming. In addition, we're also going to see Sem9 return for a couple of games, including against Meta Falcon team, which I think could be an interesting way to open us up. But you were talking about Impunity, Clement, and I think my eye is on their match against Beyond Gaming, because while that team has looked very strong, Impunity have shown to go from strength to strength. I think there's an opportunity for an upset here.
I totally agree with you. Impunity are so good at dealing with teams that basically have single track win conditions, and unfortunately Beyond Gaming is kind of one of those teams. They play 1-3-1, and that's about it. They have very slow early games, which I think allows Impunity a lot of room to maneuver. So we'll see if they actually win that one out. And I do want to mention, out of the 18 games that PSG won in the previous split, Impunity's game against them was actually the closest one. So I really like this team. I think this team has a lot of interesting things going for it. Elsewhere on the schedule, I do want to see Frank Esports and MFT play against each other as well. As we have mentioned, these are kind of your middle of the pack teams, we don't really expect them to crack into the top 5, but it's going to be interesting to see who can at least kind of get the seed selection in the first round of playoffs, and that's going to be absolutely massive for either of these teams when they're so close together.
Yeah, I think those are the two teams I'm going to keep my eye on for the most improvement, in very different stories, because you have one that is almost a bit slapdash thrown together with a lot of talent, but not as much time to improve together. And you almost the exact opposite story from a Falcon team, sticking together out of collegiate league and coming in as a team in the PCS and finding that they have hit a bit of a brick wall, but there's always a chance to overcome. I think that is probably one of the closest matches we are going to have tomorrow. We definitely have a lot of interesting games to get through, and I know it has been a little bit of a shorter broadcast than usual, but I do want to thank everybody for sticking with us and watching that one. And, well, with that, I think that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow as more of the Week 3 of the PCS Spring Split continues.